You know, the first time I worked in the studio with Ringo was 20 years ago.
Never. Only 40.
And we set up the band, and I asked if he wanted a copy of the sheet music, and he said, no, but give me the lyrics, which is a really unusual thing for a drummer to say. And if you listen to his playing, he plays with the singer the same way a guitar player would. It's an extremely musical approach and highly innovative. If you listen to Something, that's just the greatest example. Those fills on Something, no one ever played drums like that before. Yeah. It's a huge contribution to the musical vocabulary.
Yeah, thank you.
And really, if you listen to those Beatle records, it's unimaginable. You can't imagine those records without your playing. It's a huge part of the personality and character and musicality of it.
Well, thank you, Don, and thank you. Yeah, you know, when I started out, I never bought records for drum. I bought one drum record, Cozy Cole, Part 1 and 2. That was the only drum record I bought. I only ever bought records, Otis, didn't matter who, just to listen to the overall picture, you know. And just an interesting side, I was in London last year, and I was telling my kids, we're at this Mojo Awards situation, and I'm telling my kids who were there that Eddie Floyd, knock on wood, one of the best records ever made, and God, Eddie Floyd sitting on the next table. It was like magic. You can't create that. It just happened. But if you listen to those old records, you know, they were not edited. They were not, you know, they were played and mixed and put out. It's really incredible. But all that Little Richard stuff, one take. I mean, it may have been take 6, but it was all one take. It was just, it blows me away. You know, I've been to studios now where, just because you're the bass player, I'll tell this story. I was talking to George Martin about his studio, and he says, oh, we've had a bass player in here 2 weeks. Just the bass player, 2 weeks, to get a sound. I said, well, doesn't he know when the band show up, it's going to change? You know, I mean, some people are still crazy out there. I just like to play and enjoy playing with other musicians. That's how it works for me. Okay. I got lost there, but I don't care. It's my show. How many more, Don?
We're making some headway. But right now, we're honored to have Tracy Vale of Pacific Palisades, California, step forward.
Hello, Ringo.
Yeah.
You look amazing tonight, by the way.
Oh,
just
thank you,
throwing that
darling.
out there. No one's mentioned that yet. But my question deals with your solo career. I know you've released a lot of solo albums and collaborated with a ton of talented musicians, both on tour and in the studio. Of all the people you work with, aside from the Beatles, who would you say has had the biggest influence on you and your work?
Well, I really can't just say that person. You know, growing up, my stepfather, as I mentioned before, and I found my own way in the music I love. You know, I was in a great band that I loved to play with all of them. You know, before I was in the Beatles, I used to go and watch them. They're one of the few bands I go and watch because I love that front line. It was really exciting way back. And just to get a plug in, so we had a record out a while ago called The Beatles at the BBC. Anyway, we found like 40 more tracks. And they're just straight on, you know, here's the band, you know, there's a couple of mics. And it's really great that, you know, you can tell we were a band. You know, and I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone who isn't in a band. But it's really important that we're all supporting each other, you know, and even so in '62 we were like that, and in 1970 we were still like that musically, you know. So, you know, people along the way have influenced me in their own way. You know what I mean? Not like, oh, I got to be like him. I've never tried to play like anybody else. I just play the best of my ability. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good question.
Yes, I'm over here.
Peter, is it pronounced Jalajas or Halajas?
Yelius. Pete Yelius.
Peter Yelius.
From San Marcos.
From Hungary?
It's an Estonian name.
Hey, I was close.
Ringo, Don, a pleasure meeting both of you. With music production getting more and more sophisticated with endless tracks and boundless use of digital effects and electronic tools, Are you more content with the simpler song creation process from 50 years ago, or have you been hooked into the greater possibilities, capabilities, and perfection-driven mastering of today's MIDI world?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I was saying before. I mean, I don't go to studios. I do it at home. We have Pro Tools. We put in other programs. The guy who's going to be playing this synth is the engineer who helps me a lot, Bruce Sugar. And, was that Bruce clapping? We start with one of these, which I can't really play, but I find an idea and a sound it's making in a rhythm pattern. But if it's, if I want it in G, he has to play because I can only play in C. But even better than that, I can play in C and he presses a button, I'm in G. You know what I mean? It's like magic to me now. So it makes my life a lot easier. And on the last record and on the track we're going to play from the record, Wings, I'm playing guitar. But I'm playing one of these because I don't play guitar that well. So there's a guitar pattern in a synthesizer that I can play. So I love the modern way about things,
That's amazing.
I have these dreams. It'll only be me one day. I'll do it all. That's not why I'm here.
Thank you.
When you see like the old vintage gear, all the old EMI compressors and everything from Abbey Road.
When talking about George Martin again, because he is a big part in my musical life, I went up to do a documentary and he brought out the old Beatle tapes. But we were in a studio that it had all this equipment that we could only dream of. It wasn't invented then, and we just had to deal with what we had. But now, I don't think, you should spend years on a record. I think you should get it done, get it mixed, get it out. That's what, Well, Don, you're working with a couple of guys now. I mean, you're working with a modern guy, and you're working with Chris, who's
Chris Christopherson,
he's been
and
around.
John Mayer, yeah.
And they come to you because I felt I came to you because of besides your musical knowledge, you feel for the music, and that's the most important thing we're there for, not to hang out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get it done, yeah.
Well, answer the damn question.
Good. Yes,
How
sir.
are we going with John?
Oh, thank you. John Mayer's making a great new record, yeah.
How's it going
And
with
Chris is making a great new record. Thank you.
And the good news, they're making it with Don.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
William Eisen of Scottsdale, Arizona.
Hi, Ringo.
Yeah,
Pleased
hi,
to be here. You're known for being one of the first major drummers to use the matched hand style of drumming, which was very rare at the time that you first started out your career.
Yeah, go on.
How did you settle on this style, and what resistance, if any, did you receive from the music community, your fellow drummers, the other Beatles, for playing the wrong way?
Well, I didn't know any better. Hold on. They gave me, I bought these drums. I used to make my own sticks originally out of firewood, and it's just how I play. This way, like the so-called proper ways, because it came from marching bands. So they had the drum here, and, this would be a bit difficult. So they had this hand like this.
I had a drum instructor, and he taught me to play like that.
Yeah.
And I used to say, well, Ringo plays it like this. And he said, I don't care.
Yeah. Well,
gonna play
next
it this way.
time, tell him Charlie Watts plays like you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
What is the matched hand? What does that mean?
Well, that's why I got them.
Yeah. For our listeners at home.
Excuse me. This is the matched hand. This is the matched hand. I play like that.
So it's holding both sticks
Like this, yeah.
the same way.
I didn't know. I thought every drummer played like this till you sort of saw these people going. A lot of jazz, old jazz drummers play this way. But two things I can't do. One is a roll, because it's very difficult. They sort of can really do it. And the other thing I can't do, I forgot.
Dan Manser of La Mirada, California.
Thank you, Ringo.
Thank you.
During the Beatle days, did you feel that Paul's bass playing, his melodies, his riffs, helped inspire your style?
Exactly. Paul is the most melodic bass player to this day. Incredible. And we did that trick where we would rehearse the song, and we would try not to get in each other's way with the bass drum and the bass. And we would actually like listen to that to support each other more than like ba-bum, and he'd be going doom. You know what I mean? That's something that was looked at. But I just love his playing. And, another story, because we're on radio, is on the last record, he came over wanting him to play bass on a track. And I said, I want plenty of that. Doo-doo. He said, I'll give you plenty of that. Which he did.
It's great.
I got stories, Don. Don't get me started.